It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. That's the 21st day of August. And as usual, all thanks and praise to God. Only the living can give praise and thanks to God for keeping us alive. On this note, I want to say thank you very much for staying tuned to Providence Television International. This is the Morning Drive, and my name is Ugbebo Ikekwa. I'm not alone in the studio.
My name is Edna Cesar-Garrick. Welcome on board.
Well, as usual, Edna, we would always say it's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day. But you remember, it's like the August break, rare August break that we never really had. It's like it's over now.
Yes, because the rain yesterday was massive.
We're talking about yesterday's rain. What about this morning's rain? There are some people who actually were looking for reasons not to go to work, and they use this morning's rain as one of those reasons. Well, that will bring us to some issues as regards work ethics and all that. But then, before we start looking at all those things, let us start off as usual with the newspaper review, and we'll be going straight to the Punch newspaper, where we have on the front page a header that says NNPC reports 9.3 trillion naira petrol imports as queues linger. Petrol subsidy gulps 3.3 trillion naira. NNPC incurs 1.8 trillion energy security cost. Another rider to that effect, Port Harcourt Warri depots receive PMS, and tax force arrests black marketers. We move from the Punch newspapers to the Business Day, where we have a screaming header there. Tinubu's petrol subsidy gulps 15 trillion naira as scarcity worsens. Economists say subsidy is hurting government revenue. And from there, we move to This Day newspapers. On the front page of This Day newspapers, NLC seeks time extension for Ajaero to honor police invitation, threatens strike. Amnesty International accuses federal government of targeting labor leaders, attempt to cripple union. And another rider to that effect, International Trade Union Confederation condemns alleged intimidation of trade unions.
And moving on to the Guardian newspaper, which says, don't provoke strike with handling of Ajaero's invitation. This is coming from NLC cautions police. You get the details of this particular story on page 6 on the Guardian newspaper. And Tinubu's foreign trips cost Nigeria 2.3 billion naira in 6 months. This is coming from the Guardian newspaper. And away from that now to the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper, the striking headlines there say, concerns as 43 die of food poisoning in 2 weeks. And also underneath it says, farmers, agric workers blame hoarding importation of substandard item. And also federal government warns against indiscriminate use of preservative. And still under the Daily Trust there it says, avoid expires product. And this warning is coming from the NMA. I'm moving on now to the Nation newspaper. The striking headlines they say, this is coming from the NNPCL. It says, petrol sells for half its landing cost. You get the details of this on page 2 on the Nation newspaper.
On the front page of the Liberty newspapers, NLC directs workers to shut the economy if its president Ajaero is detained by police. That is on the front page of the Liberty newspapers. And still on the front page, Liberty newspapers, Katsina, terrorists abduct woman, her 2 newborn babies in coffee. Moving from that newspaper to the Vanguard, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, police invitation to Ajaero. We won't be silenced, says NLC. Riders to that effect, NLC directs workers to shut down economy if Ajaero is arrested. Global workers groups, CSOs, others raise alarm over worsening abuses in Nigeria. And the final rider to that effect, NLC demands full details and nature of allegations, says Ajaero can only honor police invitation on August 29th.
And now to the New Telegraph newspaper. The striking headline there says, alleged terrorism financing orders. We will shut down economy if Ajero is arrested. NLC warns. And also there's a rider that will say, calls on state council affiliate unions to mobilize members, asks federal government to stop witch hunting labor leaders. You get the details of all this news in the New Telegraph newspaper. And moving on to Daily Independent, the headline there says, federal government moves to enforce Supreme Court verdict on local government autonomy. And there's a rider there also on the front page of the Daily Independent says, raises 10-man inter-ministerial committee led by Akume.
And on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, police versus Ajero, NLC's 54 affiliate unions threaten mass action. Riders to that effect, NLC says invitation is politically motivated. NLC's counsel writes Inspector General of Police says Ajero will appear next week. And on this note, we come to the end of the newspaper review session. Edda, this issue looming, calling for a strike action.
Yes.
And from one of the riders we got there, that this is politically motivated. What is your take on that?
I don't think he's politically motivated. They are inviting him to come, so let him go and let's see the next step they will take. Because now that they are threatening strike, threatening the federal government, threatening here and there that they should not detain him and all that, let him go and answer their call first. Then from there, if they detain him, they can now know what to do from that place.
Well, the truth of the matter is that we've had so many terrible situations in this country. If it is not the harassment of journalists,
yes,
it is the harassment of labor leaders, and that's why the fear coming from labor now. In the first place, the details as regards the allegations are not even so clear. Imagine the issues having to invite the NLC chairman as regards terrorism charges.
That's funny.
This will be discussed on during our newspaper analysis segment. Don't go away, please stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. If you're just joining in, it is the morning drive on Providence Television International, and this is the newspaper analysis section. I have with me in the studio Dr. Emmanuel Ihariba. You're welcome to the program once again, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yes.
And we'll be going straight down to the Vanguard newspaper, where we have a screaming header there: police invitation to Ajero. We won't be silenced. This is coming from the NLC. Directs workers to shut down economy if Ajero is arrested. So, the use of threats by the NLC at all times to go on strike with any little provocation. How do you see this? The NLC president has been invited. He hasn't even gone. And then the NLC is threatening that if for any reason he's arrested before the time that he should come, that the Nigerian workers should go on strike. Is this a comfortable development?
Well, they say two wrongs do not make a right, first of all. But that's not my worry. My worry is the thing is being internationalized, this problem. The ILO and many global organizations are trying to key into the issue. Because don't forget that the NLC is also an affiliate of some major international bodies. Well, some dust was raised a few days ago that the NLC Secretariat was broken into, and perhaps some documents were gotten from there. That issue has not even died down, okay? And then you are inviting the NLC president just 24 hours. I mean, much more time ought to have been given. That's what Falana was saying, their lawyer, that yes, we are not against. By the way, the NLC president is not against going to see the police. I think it's the timing, all right? And I thought the time frame should have been such that, considerable length of time was given. As for threats, well, I don't know. They believe that, the whole thing is being politicized. Up till now, I think the federal government is still thinking that the NLC is an arm of the Labour Party. We cannot gloss over that. Okay? And they also believe that this last protest was the brainchild of the NLC. So you can see the politicization aspect of it. However, they have to tread carefully. The police have to tread very, very carefully so we don't run into another problem. The Labour... But come to think of it, the Labour Union has been in tandem with the federal government over the minimum wage issue. I thought they have become friends overnight, based on the agreement reached between the federal government and Labour. And this one is coming. I think the police have to do it very carefully. And the international bodies have warned that should anything happen to Ajero, they will hold the federal government accountable. And let us even think of it. I believe, just as many Nigerians do, that the human rights record of the federal government is getting weaker and weaker by the day. You just talked, I was watching you guys across the glass, and you talked about journalists being detained unnecessarily. All right? We do not want to go into the Gestapo years. This is a civilian administration, it's a democratic setting, it's not a military junta. Okay? So, but the human rights records of the federal government has to be much more brighter. I don't think that they too themselves are not comfortable with this. And I believe that should they arrest Ajero, a few feathers might be ruffled. And I don't believe we need that at this point in time.
On this day newspaper, Amnesty International accuses federal government of targeting labor leaders' attempts to cripple union. That is to buttress your point.
Yes, exactly, that's what I just said.
Your point as regards. And then do you see an end to this continuous harassment? If it's not journalists today, it is the Trade Union Council. If it's not the Trade Union Council, it is the NLC.
We have a Ministry of Labour. The Ministry of Labour should liaise properly between the federal government and the labour organization. That's why we have the ministry there, okay? But if they are not doing their job, it's too bad. The federal government should tread carefully. I'm not even talking about the police now. The police is an agency, but the federal government itself, the leadership of this government should tread carefully. We do not want to have too many battles at the same time and the same front, okay? On the one hand, ASU is threatening, Right
Yes.
now, as we're talking, they are threatening. The tanker drivers say the roads are bad. They are also threatening. Okay. Now, Labour, we have just finished one. Labour is threatening to go on strike. And Ajero is a symbol of Labour, whether we like it or not. It's an emblem of the Labour movement. Should he be put on harm's way, that becomes very, very precarious for government. Because right now, as we speak, I think a lot of people are in sympathy. Whether we like it or not, they are in sympathy with the Labour leadership. Okay? So, should anything happen to him that is harmful, you cannot predict what can happen in that kind of circumstance.
Well, we'll move from Ajero's issue, which we'll talk on extensively as the days go by. The NLC's council has actually written to the Inspector General of Police that the earliest time Ajero will be able to honor that invitation will be on August 29th. Let us be looking out at
which is next week, by the way.
Which is next week,
just
exactly.
Next week.
Yes,
Yes.
That should be next week, Thursday.
Let me also quickly say this. Ajero cannot be above the law, all right? But I think it's the process or the procedure of invitation that people are quarreling with. If you're inviting somebody, he has not been arrested, okay?
No,
if you're inviting somebody, there must be room for maneuvering. Maneuvering in the sense that, yes, you have one or two things to do before you go to the police. And we have had instances in this country where the police invited people, particularly members of the political class. They did not go at all. They did not attend. You know, they did not attend at all. We have a history of such instances. So, and in this case, Ajero is not even saying that he's not going to answer the call of the police. We must get that clear. What he's saying is that there must be room. And he has spoken with his lawyer, and it's the duty of every lawyer to defend his client, right? But in the national interest, I believe that, yes, there must be a conformity coming from Ajero with what the police are saying. Nothing has been said now to incriminate him as such, unless we go through the whole spread of investigations. After that, it can be charged to court. But if nothing is gotten against him and is arrested in the process, that's where the problem is.
We have alleged terrorism financing. That's one of the charges. It said alleged terrorism finances, we will shut down economy if Ajero is arrested. That's still on the arrest. What of the charges are terrorism? Terrorism financing.
Say, let's be factual. There have been instances of people on television, national television, who were aiding and abetting terrorists. What has happened to them? Now, what has happened to them? I mean, we know of instances where governors, sitting governors, have had some kind of romance. You remember? Yeah. Some kind of romance with terrorists, known terrorists. Yes. What has happened? So I think that the federal government, I mean, for what lawyers call pick and choose, they should not pick and choose. If there are instant cases of terrorist acts, yes, I mean, we can't defend that kind of thing. And people are even saying now, I don't know if you have heard, what has happened to the former Kogi State governor. Oh. Yes, people are pointing to that. What has happened? The man has not gone to court.
He hasn't.
He hasn't.
Yes.
He did not answer the police call. He did not. He just escaped out of the country. And nobody is talking about that. That's what people are saying. That what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Yes.
Well, we'll move away from the NLC issue and back to the same federal government. It all has to do with the federal government. Today, federal government, this is on the Daily Independent. Federal government moves to enforce Supreme Court verdict on local government autonomy.
Supreme Court?
Yes.
Yes.
And so, based on this lingering issue, this enforcement issue, I don't know if you could throw a little more light. Do you think, because sometime ago on this program, we discussed this issue, and you said that some are for, while some are against this local government autonomy thing, but it seems to be lingering. And so, is this a welcome development that the federal government has now moved to enforce that Supreme Court verdict?
If there's a move to enforce, it means there's a divide, obviously. I mean, logically, that's what it means. The federal government does not need to even take that kind of action because the Supreme Court has spoken, right? The federal government is not the police, all right? So what mechanism are they going to use to enforce this? However, as I said earlier on, I think about a week ago or so, funny enough, some local government chairmen say, look, we want to go along with the governors. They don't want to be autonomous. They may have their case. And I remember I said the case eventually must still go back to the Supreme Court if care is not taken, because the Supreme Court is the only court in the land that can overrule itself. Okay? So I'm foreseeing that. And for the federal government to say now that it must enforce it, there must be some agitation. And I can tell you, and that's where the court thing will come up again. If there is enforcement, looking at the positive and the negative side, it means there are divisions. Right now, as we speak, some local governments are not in conformity with that decision. And it is on the Supreme Court. All right? And again, funny enough, a lot of them, the majority of them have been talking about removing themselves from the shackles and the fetters of the state governors. They have even said on many occasions that many local governments have become parastatals of their state government. Now, this is an opportunity. Some of them are withdrawing. Okay? Some have even said, members of the public, Nigerians, have said that it must be a move for the federal government to buy the local government over in readiness for the next election. Whether that is true or not, I don't know. Okay, but some political analysts have said that it must be a subtle move by the federal government to do that. But we must look at let's look at the surface value, for instance. Surface value is autonomy for the local government.
Yeah.
Majority of them are happy, but there are some that do want to go with the governors, right? I read in the paper some time ago that some governors are trying now to probe the local government. They still have, I believe they still have that authority to probe. So there will be an element of vendetta in some instances. Yes, and we cannot rule out that one.
Oh, well.
So if you are not for me, you are against me.
You are against me.
Yeah, that's what we are.
And so would I say that directly or indirectly I support of the federal government's move to enforce that Supreme Court's verdict? Is that what you are saying?
In a way, yes. I mean, but it is the again, you see, they must go back to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
To make a pronouncement for enforcement.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, that's the law. Okay? So they must go back to enforce that same pronouncement that they made. And the Supreme Court is in a better position to do that.
All right. We'll move from the enforcement issue now to the Daily Trust. Concerns as 43 die of food poisoning in 2 weeks. That's quite alarming. There seems to just be news coming up. Farmers, agric workers blame hoarding importation of substandard items. Does this still boil down to lapses in leadership? Where are these items coming from? Is it that we do not have an immigration customs service?
What did they even die of?
First of all, they died of food poisoning, and farmers and agric workers are blaming hoarding importation of substandard items.
So, you are talking about immigration. What of NAFDAC? NAFDAC has to play a role in this. I mean, they must work in conformity with immigration. I mean, a lot of food customs immigration, yes. Right. And that's the reason why a lot of people are against food importation. I mean, not against food importation, but illegal importation of food into this country. You must check. There is nowhere in Europe where substandard food items can go into Europe or the US. The Western world generally, they cannot try it. Nobody can try it. But in this country, and I've said it repeatedly, we have very weak institutions. If there are strong institutions, such things will not happen. Okay? Maybe some officials have been bribed halfway down the line. Okay, so you come in with all sorts of things. So Nigeria has become a dumping ground of all sorts. But we must, our hearts must reach out to the families of those who passed on as a result of food poisoning. I hope it will be nipped in the bud as quickly as possible so it doesn't spread. Right. We have the issue of monkeypox on the one hand. We have cholera. These have become epidemics. Let's not add another one to
One
it.
to it.
Yeah. So the Minister of Health will have to be up and doing.
Well, viewers, if you're just joining in, it is the morning drive on Providence Television International. We'll take this little break for our words on marble. Don't go away as the interview segment comes up next. Thanks for staying tuned. As usual, if you are just joining in, it is Providence Television International, and this is the morning drive with me in the studio. He has been here quite a while, but this is the interview segment, and I also have him coming back for quite another session. We will be discussing this time. I have with me Dr. Emmanuel Egariwe, and he will be discussing on this topic. If you are somebody who drives on Nigerian roads, you would probably, if you left the house in the morning, you leave your house in a very good state. But by the time you are getting home, you will need to take some drugs to be able to calm yourself down because of your experiences on the roads. And not just the drivers have a hard time, even the pedestrians have a hard time. And what is the cause of all this? Is this the inefficiency of the Federal Road Safety Commission? Is it that Nigerians do not just want to do things the way that it should be done right? We'll look at all this on this topic, madness on Nigerian roads. Dr. Emmanuel Egariwe, I believe that over time, at least you drive, and you would have had some experiences as regards the way Nigerian drivers actually go on the roads. Is this just a way of Nigerians not wanting, a Nigerian driver not wanting the other driver to be happy? What is the cause of this madness on Nigerian roads?
I think it's total insanity. Insanity. When you want to see insanity, go on Nigerian roads. Yeah, that's the least I could say. Just go on Nigerian road. You see barefaced insanity. And that typifies, unfortunately, that typifies what goes on everywhere in the country. There's so much lawlessness. So much lawlessness. And this lawlessness you find in large quantum on our roads. I mean, people often say that accidents don't just happen, they are caused. They are caused by human beings. I have often said it, and people can take this to heart. If you train a monkey, very well, it won't disobey traffic lights. No, it won't. It won't drive on the wrong side of the road. A monkey, if you train a monkey, even a dog, yes, because they will act by instinct. I mean, the so-called rationality that has been given to us by God is being abused on a daily basis. Where's the rationality? When a man is driving against traffic, knowingly. I mean, it amazes me, really. I mean, it's become a national malady, okay? You are going quietly on your own side, following the right side of the road. Then suddenly, you find somebody driving, facing you. And he does it with impunity. Now, look at the danger. Two ways. His own life is at risk, the driver. He's also putting the lives of pedestrians at risk. Because, I mean, I think about a year ago on Saple Road here in Benin, somebody was driving against traffic. A young girl of about 10 or 11. He had no reason whatsoever to look to the other side. He had no reason. He imagined that no sane person will come in the opposite direction. So she crossed the road and she was picked up immediately. She was picked up immediately, almost crushed. But thank goodness, in the usual Nigerian nature, they burnt down the vehicle, and I think they almost lynched the driver. The girl luckily was rushed to the hospital, and I think she survived it. But that is real danger, okay? You are turning at a U-point. You are going straight, and you have to enter the other lane. Then suddenly, face to face with a vehicle. And rather than even say sorry, he will abuse you. He will abuse you. Don't you have eyes? And yet he's the one guilty. He does it with impunity. They break the rules at traffic. I mean, traffic lights is such that it's there. Green is for go. Sometimes I ask myself, are they color blind? Because green is quite different from red. Green is different from amber. When it's red, you stop. When it's green, you go. But they are impatient. Particularly these transport, what they call it, they call them in Benin or something. They want to go as quickly as possible, not minding if their lives too are in danger. I don't even mind if they expose their own lives. But what are the passengers? And sometimes the passengers even urge them on. It's as bad as that. But the worst case scenario will be the innocent pedestrians. Exactly. Yes. And so, but my take on it is, I think it has come to a point where to get a driver's license, you must go for a psychiatric test.
Yes,
you must go for a psychiatric test, because most of these people, I think they are really, really crazy. And most of them, I believe, cannot pass a simple psychiatric test. They cannot. From what I see on the streets.
Much as I might agree with that, but don't you also think that the problem lies with enforcement?
I'll come to that straight away.
When offenders are being caught, what happens to them?
I will come to that now. There's collusion. And I've had to interrogate, what do you call these people who manage traffic and all that. Just 3 days ago, I had to park somewhere and I called some of them. I said, look, these people are driving against traffic. At that, there's a roundabout at Sapley Road with Teddy Circular.
Okay, yes.
I crossed and I stopped and I interrogated some of them. Right in your presence, these people, bus drivers, they go against traffic. You don't stop them. Why? And I was shocked at the answer. Oh, God, we cannot stop them because if we stop them, the phone call will come from some high places and we'll release them. I was shocked to my marrow. In other words, you open your eyes and you see such impunity, endangering people's lives. Even the police, they see them. And the tragedy is, you are going on your lane, quietly, a gentleman going on his lane. The other fellow is going on the other side, facing traffic. And then he creates a bottleneck. Rather than police to apprehend him, they say, pass, pass, pass. Meaning that you are even aiding and abetting illegality. They tell the driver who is on the wrong to pass, leaving those on the right to stay where they are. And you just be wondering, you are helpless. These are people who are breaking the law. You allow them to go, even before the people who are obeying the law. So what kind of country are we in? What kind of country? What still? You see all sorts of people now blowing siren. Some private individuals blowing siren all over, disturbing the peace of road users. They'll just blowing siren, clearing everybody, and they are not obeying traffic light. In the United States, even if you are a governor, you must obey the light. You cannot. So, what is the problem? And they go at breakneck speed. So it's something that the governor of the state, I'm talking of Edo State now, should look into very seriously. We cannot continue to have this kind of madness on our roads.
Talking about the governor of Edo State looking into, so parastatals have been put in place. I've come up to check the same traffic thing, but I wouldn't want to say, is it the die-hard of going to hell? Is it the die-hard nature of no, nothing happens, nothing can happen that actually causes it? And this will bring me to the issue of use of drugs, especially at parks. Over time, it has been said, stop the sales of drugs. Hard drugs in any way, could be liquid form or any solid form. But you still find these things going on at the parks. Is it that we do not just have any way to enforce such laws in this country?
These laws are not unenforceable. You can enforce them. I have often advocated the fact that at strategic points in certain places in Benin, for example, there should be mobile courts.
Okay.
Yes. Mobile courts, you tried. Let me also tell, by way of law, every traffic offense, most traffic offenses are strict liability. What in law we call strict liability offenses. You don't need any defense. I mean, if you beat traffic light, it's there, it's self-evident. What are you going to say? That you didn't bring the traffic light? The traffic light was showing red and you passed. So it's self-evident. You don't need any. That's why it's strict liability. Now, when you are caught in such instances, summary trial. Send them to OCO and publicize it. Yes, that will teach them some lesson. And I study this situation very, very critically anytime I'm on the road. And if perchance you have military men who are standing at the neck where you have intersection rather, they quickly give themselves signs. Oh, soldiers are there. You see them moving back. In other words, they are afraid of soldiers either with whips or guns or something. They are afraid. They go back immediately. That's for soldiers. They don't fear policemen. They don't. All these rascals, they don't fear policemen at all. In fact, I think policemen are even their friends. Okay? It's as bad as that. But how many soldiers can you deploy all around Benin City, for instance?
And it will bring us out to militarization.
Yes, but it might come to that. Nobody cares. I mean, I don't care about that. As long as there's safety on the roads. They don't respect the police. They don't even respect road safety.
And so sorry to cut you off, still on this issue of drugs being sold in parks.
Yeah, I was coming to that.
Okay.
It's not necessarily in parks. Along the road, you have all kinds of liquids that they take. And that is why I said on this program the other day that we must reduce or stop the use of drugs. A driver who takes drugs is a big risk to himself, to his passengers, and also to other innocent road users. And you watch them. Maybe we'll do a documentary on this really with time. You watch. They don't wear anything, no singlet, nothing. Bare body. They will be driving. I saw a driver at Kyosa Junction sometime, I think about a couple of years ago. He brought out his head. Said, please give me pure water. The poor girl brought, I think about 2 or 3 sachets of water. I thought he was thirsty. He was going to drink. I was watching him. I thought he was going to gulp. It was hot, rather. The weather was hot on that particular day. I thought he was going to just quickly gulp the water. Guess what he did? He opened the sachet and he poured the 3 sachets on his head. Meaning that the head was extraordinarily hot. The head was hot, so he had to cool the head down. He didn't drink the water. He just brought out his head, opened the sachet, and poured everything on his head. Because that head that was so hot contained kai, what they call ogogoro or something.
Yes.
That head contained Indian hemp. That head also probably contained snuff.
Combined.
All combined in one single head. So you can imagine how hot the head was.
Kind of like a toxic combination.
Yes. He went overboard. And he quick 3 sachets. He poured everything on his head. And after a while, he drove away. How he got out of that mess, only God knows. He just drove carelessly, top speed. And you can control something. I mean, government has a responsibility to control something. Don't be a nuisance to people. Be a nuisance to yourself. If you are driving alone, fair enough. Kill yourself if you want. But don't kill other passengers. And don't kill other road users. Watch this carefully. There is no bus, maybe 1 in 1,000, that has its headlamps correct or rear lights. They are broken. They won't point. If they are going right, they won't point. They are going left, they won't point. They are all broken. Broken. We're going to do a bit.
We'll do something on that.
You'll see what I'm talking about.
We'll definitely do something on that. On madness on our Nigerian roads. Sir, would there be any solution that you prefer?
The solution is one of them. Mobile courts. Put one at Ring Road, for instance.
Well, we had something like that at the Ring. I wouldn't want to mention the name because...
Yes, but the thing fizzled out. Fizzled out. Mobile court.
Because they were being attacked. Because they were being attacked by even the same mad drivers that we're talking about.
No.
Their officers were being attacked.
No, you put a magistrate there. You put a magistrate there. And they fear magistrate because they know that it's a court. I mean, we must tell them that it's a court. Even though it's outside, it's a court.
Okay.
Yes, summary trial. Once the pronouncement is made, in fact, I don't think there should be any option of fine.
Okay.
Yeah, just go straight to OCO for maybe 1 or 2 months. It will send a signal to many people. Correct signal, because they have become a nuisance. Big nuisance. Big nuisance. Why must they not obey traffic lights? Tell me. Why? Why must they drive on the other side of the road? Why? You create, I mean, it's death waiting on the margin. And a lot of accidents have been caused by this. But I will tell you something. In Abuja, you cannot try that kind of thing because law enforcement is huge.
Okay.
In Abuja, for example, maybe because it's the federal capital. In Lagos too, you cannot. Yes, that I know very well. In Lagos, you cannot drive against traffic. You go to jail. But in Benin is becoming something else, and maybe a few other cities, quite something else. I mean, you travel on the road. People are no longer safe. Even in the night, they do it. So, where do we go from there?
It brings us to the licensing office. They still part of the problem, because I remember that at the time there used to be driving schools, and if you do not go through the driving school, there is no way that you get your driver's license, as the case may be. But these days, you even find individuals who be in their home and driver's licenses have been brought to them.
That is true. That is true.
And so, can you say that they are also part of the issue of this madness on Nigerian roads?
But individuals are more cautious. More cautious, yes. The madness goes round. But it is the commercial bus drivers that are really into insanity, because they are struggling to meet up their, what do they call it now? They want to balance at the end of the day. Yes. 1 out of 2,000 will have his own vehicle, and he will drive carefully. But the others, they don't care. They don't care. You can imagine somebody who is driving, there's no shirt on. No shirt.
That is very true. There's also this trend. There's always this trend that I noticed, that they don't have driver's license. And is it that they cannot be arrested? That is what we are saying.
That's what I just said.
They don't have driver's
license. They are even in tandem with the police. They have become good friends of the police.
Okay.
Perhaps they're even afraid of them. I don't know. But the ESMA, you know ESMA?
Yes.
Those ones are not just, they don't go near them at all. They don't have the empowerment. First of all, they cannot carry arms. They don't have the empowerment. And like one of them told me when I interrogated them, he said, Oga, this issue is beyond us. Because once we are ready, then a voice will come from above to say, please release that person. You know. And I think the Road Transport Workers Union too should be brought onto the stage, because these people belong to that association, or road workers, or whatever they call it. They should warn their members, and if any member is caught, the leadership should be held accountable.
That should be the NURT,
whatever. Yes.
You know, road
transport workers. Yes. Yeah, they have a very strong union. Yes, if any of their members is interrogated and found guilty, they should, because it's vicarious liability. They should also be held responsible, because they are under your care, under your watchful eyes.
Well, it's always been an interesting session with Dr. Emmanuel Egariba. I want you to look forward to this very, very topical issue that he just raised, the collusion of security officers. We are not mentioning any particular security outfit now, but the collusion of security officers with these drivers who, first of all, do not even have the right to be on the Nigerian roads. Once again, sir, thank you for coming to the program.
Well, I will just mention this. It's not part of what we have been discussing. We all know that a great cleric passed on some time ago, Bishop Patrick Ekpo, a great man, passed on at the age of 92. I think tomorrow is the interment and the final rites. All things being equal, we're going to stream an interview I had with him over 20 years ago. I hope we can dig deep into our archives to bring it out within this period, so that people can watch, and that will be at first hand to know the mindset of this great man, prayerful man, self-effacing, totally self-effacing, but he was so pastorally minded. And we've lost a gem in the Catholic community. So tomorrow we wish the Catholic family, our hearts go out to them not in joy that he died at the age of 92, okay, but in pain that we lost him. We lost a great man of God, very respectable, nationally and internationally. he lived his pastoral life to the fullest, and he ordained very many priests that we have today. Became a bishop at the age of 40. So you can imagine that for 50 years he was our bishop. For 50 years he was bishop and archbishop. And most of the priests we have in the house, he ordained them, by the way. So a great man has left us, and may God accept his soul into paradise.
Amen. Well, viewers out there, just like you have heard, it is only on Providence Television International that you can get to watch that exclusive interview. And I promise you, it is going to be something very, very interesting. So don't miss it. It will be coming up tomorrow, and you get to know the exact time. That should be most probably after the morning drive. Well, once again, it's been the morning drive. Very interesting time with Dr. Emmanuel Egariva. My name is Ubebo Ikekwa, and like I would always tell you, kindly go down to your YouTube. Simply type in Providence Television International, like our programs, subscribe, and share. I wish you a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.